E3 might be long and gone, but its spirit is still alive in the hearts of gamers across the world. This June, every major publisher like Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, and Jeff Keighley came together to give us a close alternative to what was once the most anticipated yearly gaming event of all time. And now that all four have come and gone, we have a more accurate picture of what the gaming landscape looks like and has in store for us in the future. This is the closest we've been to reliving those cherished times. And after watching every company and seeing what they have in store for us, these are my 10 takeaways from 2026's Kinda E3.
It's gonna be a fun ride, so let's get started with our preview of what's ahead with our first announcement.
GTA 6 is about to be the game of the century. It might not have been at any of these presentations, but you can feel its presence throughout all of them. So many games coming out in September. These gaming companies would rather compete with like 30 other games than to risk the 1v1 against GTA 6. And the craziest part is that they don't even want to risk being in October. 1 month away is still way too close to the behemoth that is GTA 6. Some publishers have the balls to be in October, and to you, I salute you for your bravery. This is the gaming world's version of a test of bravery. Instead of you going into the woods at night, you release your game in October. 1 month before GTA 6. Unless you're Barbie, that game is of the quality to go head to head with GTA 6, and I can really see this game putting a dent into the sales of the game. GTA 6 has competition now. You go, girl. I don't know business or how the world of video game works besides just playing them, but I think it's crazy that a delay is just out of the question. I think I'd take my chances in February or March over September. So many of these games are going to flop. Many gamers like to play what's new, and when you have so much to choose from, after a month, if you haven't picked it up yet, it's no longer cool to be playing. It'll be forgotten. It'll be Titanfall 2. Also, I'm probably not picking up GTA 6. Those games aren't for me. So maybe what I'm about to say is a little ignorant. Again, I don't have a degree in this shit, but am I crazy for thinking that it would have been okay if like 1 or 2 of those September games came out in November? Like surely there's an audience of people who don't want to play GTA 6 who would have bought your game. There are more people in this world who can afford playing 2 games at once than there are people in the world who can play like 50 at once. I think in running away from GTA 6 for better odds at success, they've significantly cut their odds even more than they already were. But the risk is worth it. We can't release our game in the same month as Jesus Christ Resurrected. GTA 6 releases. That would be stupid. Unless you're Barbie. Barbenheimer Part 2, baby!
I'm a Barbie girl in the Barbie world.
It would be so funny if GTA 6 gets delayed and Barbie is the only game to come out in November. Third-party games will continue to come to Switch 2. I know Switch 2 has been getting a lot of good third-party support. There's been some great games to actually come and run well on the system, but it was still very weird to see the Nintendo logo next to all those other platforms at presentations that weren't Nintendo Directs. Like, what the fuck are you doing there? As a longtime Nintendo fan, I'm just not used to it. I feel like I've been getting abused for so long and I'm experiencing freedom for the first time in like a decade. Not every third party is coming to Switch 2, but that's okay. There are a few misses, but for the most part the big ones are coming. I do, however, have one question to raise. Will this support continue once the PS6 and Xbox Helix come out? The Switch 2 is able to keep up with current gen technology, but will it continue being like that as we head into the next generation? We know Sony and Microsoft are working on the next generation of hardware and the PS6 could potentially release next year. When that happens, will developers find it more difficult to develop their games for the Switch 2? I hope not. In my head, I can't imagine that games are getting that much better for the next generation, so I don't think it's going to be as much of a concern as I'm making it out to be, but it's still something that I think is important to think about. For now though, it's nice to enjoy what we have so far. I'll be picking up a few of these. Microsoft exclusives are back. Kinda. I thought it was a little weird to drop the bombshell that Gears of War E-Day was an Xbox exclusive just to have like 3 first-party games coming to PS5 immediately afterwards. but I think they're testing the waters and preparing for Helix to be their big comeback or whatever. I mean, the new CEO said they can beat Nintendo and Sony in 4 years, which sounds a little delusional as of right now, but for the first time since honestly the Xbox 360, I'm inclined to trust that they'll be able to have a significant hold on gamers in the future. You already see people upset that Gears of War isn't coming to PlayStation. If this wasn't such a big deal, then people wouldn't be complaining about it. Oh, this doesn't make sense business-wise. Yeah, it kinda doesn't, I'm not gonna lie, I don't think they can pull this off. I think they're too far gone, but maybe I'm wrong. I mean, if there was zero merit to this, then it wouldn't be getting talked about as much as it is. You wouldn't see people complaining about it. I will say though, I think I would have liked at least one more title to not be coming to PS5. I think I'm looking at Senua for that. I get why it would be kinda hard for games like Halo or Fable that were already promoted to be on PS5, but Senua wasn't, so why can't that be an exclusive too? I hope the only reason they're being wishy-washy about this right now is simply because they're planning to ease their audience into a full commitment in the future, or that they're actually contractually obligated to put State of Decay 3 and Senua on PlayStation 5. Otherwise, all this is kinda pointless. But for now, I'm happy that it seems like Xbox is trying again. I mean, look at how many games they've got coming up. People forget, but yeah, Spyro's their IP now. That's kinda crazy. And a few games that I'm actually really interested in are from Xbox Studios. Gears of War is a standout for me, and I'll definitely be picking it up. On PC. You know what's something that I thought was kind of funny? I think had Xbox not dug themselves into this massive hole that they're in, they would have looked like the best of the big three this E3. Their studios are finally putting out games and they actually have a decent lineup of noticeable IPs now. There's a reason to have hope for Xbox again. Ay, Dios mío. State of Play was fantastic. I think. It was great when you don't have people screaming in your ear how awful it was. I think the people saying that the State of Play was a catastrophe might be pushing it a little bit, but I can see where the feeling comes from. Before we get to that though, Wolverine looks great. It looks perfect for my anger management. God of War Lafayette, Faye, fuck it, looks great. And Until Dawn 2 looks like Until Dawn. And then there were a bunch of cool looking third-party games like that dinosaur game, Rayman Legends, Marvel Tokon, Tomb Raider, Silent Hill. They all look like must-buys for me. So why are people saying that it was trash? I think if there's one thing that Sony has struggled with the PS5 is really giving the system its own identity. I think the people saying that Sony has become just God of War and Marvel are exaggerating. I mean, there are other games, Horizon Forbidden West, and exclusive Demon's Souls, Returnal, Astrobot, Ratchet & Clank. These are all games that were incredible. When I say PS5 is having an identity crisis, I mean that it doesn't stand out compared to PS4. A lot of the banger games are just sequels to a game that existed on PS4, and I don't mean just story-wise, I mean experience-wise as well. So much so that a lot of the PS5 games at the beginning still came to PS4. And like I said, by sequel I don't just mean the next game. Take God of War 2018. That's a sequel to the original trilogy, right? But it has its own identity. This is not this. It's a completely different game, and there's nothing wrong with making Ragnarok feel like 2018, but if they're gonna do that, I wish there was a game that felt like it defined Sony's generation. It doesn't have to be a God of War game, it could have been anything else. The problem with some of these sequels is that they rarely leave the same impact that the original did. And it's not a knock on the game. In my opinion, Ragnarok is a better game over God of War 2018 in every single way. But to give an example of another game from another platform that to me had a similar issue, Tears of the Kingdom is a sequel to Breath of the Wild. There's just more to this game than there is to Breath of the Wild. It's bigger, there's more mechanics, traditional dungeons, more unique boss fights, an epic final boss, and yet it still doesn't leave that same impact that the original Breath of the Wild did. It's hard to make a sequel so good that it blows the original out of the water. It's what made Portal 2 such a phenomenon. And that's how I think people feel with a lot of those PS5 games that I mentioned earlier. Ghost of Tsushima, Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, Until Dawn, Spider-Man, Naughty Dog was making games. All these games were brand new experiences that you couldn't get on PlayStation 3. And that isn't to say that the lineup hasn't been great. Sony would be stupid to not make sequels to these games. But if they were gonna do that, I would have liked some of those old IPs to come back as well for them to experiment. And there are certainly games that are experiences that don't exist on PS4, like Returnal, Astrobot, and Ghost of Yote is actually a sequel that I think was able to escape the original. Wolverine and God of War Faye look like they're going to be those experiences that you can't get back on PS4. You already know those reviews are going to come out and say, this game really makes you feel like you're Wolverine. When I imagined what controlling Wolverine would be like, this is what I imagined. I feel like I'm Wolverine when playing this game. The PS5 event was still great and didn't overstay its welcome. And it's ridiculous to say this was a bad show. It was an okay show at its worst and a great show at its best, and it just depends on what you're looking for. Jeff Keighley is redeemed. Summer Game Fest was fun and had a lot of announcements. Alien Isolation 2, Resident Evil Veronica, Final Fantasy VII Part 3 Revelations. To me, this was the best presentation out of the four, hands down. I think it met the most expectations, it had the most unreal announcements, and most importantly, there's no drama about which console is better. It's just a video game showcase, and that's cool. Not having to hear people yelling at you for being wrong or not liking a presentation was just refreshing. There was no Sony fanboys will defend their shit console to the end. Microsoft is gonna go down any day now. Nintendo fans will eat any schlop given to them. This felt like a presentation where all the focus was just on the games. And that's it. It was a little long, but if that's my only complaint, I'll fucking take it. Okay guys, as soon as the light gets pointed on us, we start running at her. 3, 2, 1, go, 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 go! There will never be another game like Final Fantasy VII Remake again. When Jeff revealed his one more thing, I heard so many emotions. Not literally, kind of more like figuratively, type shit. I heard screams of hype from the fans. I heard groans of annoyance from the haters. I heard indifference from the people who don't care anymore, but most importantly, I felt a bit of relief from the game developers. This game trilogy took a long time to make. Some people are done with Final Fantasy VII and are ready to move on. Not just gamers, but Square Enix as well. I think Square Enix thought these games were gonna be bigger than they actually ended up being. And they're great, they're selling well, but I think somehow people feel fatigued. There will be more reimaginings, big remakes built from the ground up. Look at Ocarina of Time, it has the potential to be that. But I don't think there will be another 3-part reimagining for a long time. At least not in the current era of games. It takes way too long to make games right now, and having your story told in 3 different games could end up costing way too much than what it's worth. I am excited for part 3, and I will be playing it. But I'm also ready for the next big thing. I hope if they do decide to do another huge remake or reimagining, then they just stick to the one game. I bet it'll still sell great. Hoping for Final Fantasy VIII. If you didn't ask for a game, then it shouldn't exist. The sentiment and discourse around God of War Faye is fascinating. All of a sudden, people are throwing around no one asked for this game like that matters and is a valid point of contention. If developers listened to the people saying no one asked for this, then gaming would have been dead long ago. There are classics in the gaming industry that are examples of games no one asked for. It feels like people are throwing this around to try and make a statement beyond just this game isn't for you. And that's okay, it's okay that this game isn't for you. But don't say that this game is pointless. To me, God of War Faye looks like the first game that doesn't feel completely held back by the PS4. I see this game and I see why the PS5 exists. This isn't to say that I think the reveal or presentation was to my liking. I personally don't like it when story games like this get a big chunk of its story played for us. When I play this part of Wolverine or this beginning of Faye, I'm just gonna be trying to slog through because I've already seen this from the presentation. I think a small 5-minute gameplay showcase and ending it with a trailer showing more of the hype moments would have been enough. Also, so far, I'm not a fan of the Cube, but I have faith that Santa Monica is gonna be able to do something with this, and it's more than just a gag companion. God, I hope so. This franchise means so much to so many people. It's a story that's made people scream, get hyped, cry. So it's easy for me to understand why some people would be passionate about this game, and how something like not playing as Kratos can take away from your enjoyment. I get it. But to say that no one asked for this game, it's a little ignorant when you look around and see how many people are actually excited. It's okay if this game wasn't for you, but let others enjoy their game, and I'm sure the game that you want is coming anyway. This is not going to be the only God of War game. Come on, we already know the trilogy is coming. Nintendo's marketing strategy goes against what the typical gamer considers hype. Every other presentation had multiple big games coming out in 2027 or beyond. However, Nintendo themselves only had one of their games coming out in the Great Yonder with Xenoblade Genesis. Because of this, it feels like Nintendo doesn't have anything coming out. But they actually have 6 exclusives coming out this year. That's really impressive, and I'm not even counting the Xenoblade Switch 2 editions that are coming out. Nintendo does what Nintendo wants, even with Ocarina of Time. I feel like many other companies would have reacted to the leaks and shown more than what they were planning to show. Nintendo had a plan, and despite the leak, decided to stick to the plan. I don't agree with that, but they don't give a fuck about that. They don't care about me, they don't care about you. It's okay if these games aren't for you. I can't blame you if you aren't excited for Fire Emblem, Splatoon, Switch Sports, Star Fox. If you're on Nintendo platforms for those big Mario games, Zelda games, Smash Brothers, I think this direct must have sucked for you. But I think the people saying that there's literally nothing coming out, look at this. There's literally a Switch exclusive coming out every single month of this year apart from August. This has been a problem for Nintendo this whole generation. A lot of games are coming out, that's undeniable. But not the big hitters that people normally look at Nintendo for. We're getting Kirby Air Riders before we're getting mainline Kirby. We're getting Pokopia before we're getting the next mainline Pokemon game. We're getting a Star Fox remake before we're getting a brand new Star Fox game. We're getting Mario Tennis Fever before the next 3D Mario game. Whether you like this or not is entirely up to you. But like I said with the Sony State of Play, don't ruin the fun for those who do like it. Your game will come. Third parties carried 2026's kinda E3. Wolverine and God of War look cool, Fable and Gears of War look cool, Xenoblade Genesis and Ocarina of Time look cool. But when I think about what made this E3 so special, I think of the third parties that showed up with some bangers. I think of Square Enix showing Final Fantasy Part 3 and randomly showing up with Kingdom Hearts 4 at the Nintendo Direct. I think of Capcom continuing their legendary run with Resident Evil Veronica. I think of Sega showing up with Alien Isolation 2 and a random ass Sonic Pico Park game. Rayman Legends Retold, Stellar Blade 2, Crazy Taxi, Tomb Raider, Ill, that random fucking dinosaur game. So many great third-party games showcased. And I think the big 3 first-party publishers are all kind of in a weird spot right now. Sony is preparing for the PlayStation 6, Nintendo is just kind of doing its own thing, and Microsoft is in a weird transition period right now. That's why I love the Summer Games Fest presentation so much. The expectation was just third-party games that we're looking forward to. And that's what we got. Everyone's criteria for these presentations are completely different. Is it all about brand new announcements? Or just seeing more on games you like? Do you only care about one publisher? What do you hope to get from each presentation? How many games does it take for you to say that this presentation was goated? Depending on where you land dictates which presentation you will have enjoyed the most. I think a lot of people think they're objective, but they don't realize that sometimes your brain is just playing tricks on you to think you are. People think they're doing critical thinking analysis, but in reality it's as simple as, I like Nintendo games, Nintendo presentation was better. I like Sony game, God of War was there, Sony presentation was better. Code Veronica, Summer Games Fest was better. It's easier to look at the presentations you don't have a bias towards with more objectivity than your own. I struggle to be objective about Nintendo because I love their games. In case you couldn't tell, I'm a bit of a fanboy. Even people who have all 3 consoles find it difficult to find perfect objectivity in how they talk about these presentations. It's because everyone has a different lifestyle, a different way they experience games, a different reason to buy games. There are people who don't understand why anyone would spend money on an inferior version of a third-party game on the Switch 2. There are people who don't understand why anybody would get a PlayStation 5 when the game output has been so slow this generation. There are people who don't understand how Microsoft haven't fully gone third-party yet. All of these opinions are okay. We all have different reasons to enjoy gaming. We all have a different platform we prefer playing on. And we all want the same thing, to play games we like. The gaming industry has been in a bit of a toxic place recently, given how AI is impacting our industry. So my biggest takeaway from 2026's Kinda E3 was not who had the better presentation or who won E3, it was that gamers won E3. Because despite everything going on in our industry, we still have some banger games coming out, and it feels great to be a gamer. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and have a blessed day.